My twin brother used to date my wife, before I even knew it. And when I caught them having an affair years later, I pretended to be him to make her confess it all. I never expected to share this story, and honestly, I still feel a little sick writing it. But I've been carrying this weight for too long. Maybe putting it out here will help me let it go, or at least help someone see red flags before it's too late. My name's Dan. I'm 33, a software engineer based in Portland, Oregon. Not the most exciting guy, but I always thought I was dependable. The kind of man who shows up, who listens, who keeps his promises. For most of my life, I didn't think that made me particularly special. Just decent. Turns out, even decent can be used against you. 4 years ago, I married Emily. She's smart, sharp-witted, the kind of woman who makes everything in a room feel more vivid when she walks in. She works in marketing and has this uncanny ability to make people believe in what she says. I was one of those people. For a long time, I truly believed we were solid, unshakable. I have a twin brother. His name is Nathan. We're identical, same face, same build. Even our voices are nearly indistinguishable over the phone. But personality-wise, we're night and day. Where I'm quiet, Nathan is loud. Where I'm methodical, he's spontaneous. He's a freelance photographer based in San Diego. Always traveling, always in the middle of something new. The three of us first met at a party about 6 years ago in Seattle. A mutual friend from college was getting married, and both Nathan and I were groomsmen. Emily was there as one of the bride's friends. It was the first time I saw her. I remember Nathan elbowing me as she walked past, whispering, "You're not the only one staring." We both laughed. It became a little unspoken thing between us that night. We were both into her, but I was the one who followed up. I added her on Facebook the next day, messaged her about something casual, and slowly we started talking. Emily and I clicked over long, thoughtful conversations. I always assumed Nathan had backed off. He never brought it up again, and I figured that was his way of stepping aside. Looking back, I wonder if that was my first mistake, assuming anything when it came to Nathan. 2 years later, I proposed to Emily. She said yes. We got married in a small ceremony in the woods just outside Portland. Nathan took our wedding photos, said he was honored. I never questioned that. For 4 years, life was good. Quiet, but good. We had our routines, coffee in the mornings, grocery runs on Sundays, movie nights on Fridays. It was never thrilling, but it was real. Or I thought it was. About 6 months ago, Nathan texted me saying he had some wedding gigs in the Portland area and asked if he could crash at our place for a few weeks. Of course I said yes. He's my brother, my twin. I've always had his back, even when we fought as kids. At first, it felt like old times. Jokes at the dinner table, Emily laughing a little too hard. I brushed it off. She'd always found Nathan funny. Hell, most people did. He's magnetic that way. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't a little jealous, but I chalked it up to sibling insecurity. Then things started to shift. Emily began dressing a little differently around the house. Not full-on glam, but noticeably more effort. I came home one night to find her wearing lipstick. Just felt like it, she said. Nathan was already on the couch, drink in hand, watching Netflix like he lived there. There were other things too, subtle at first. Her phone always flipped screen down. Her laughing a little too hard at Nathan's dumbest jokes. Nathan casually mentioning inside jokes they had. Things I wasn't part of. I told myself not to be paranoid. That it was just in my head. That they were just getting along. But then, one night, I came home early. My meeting had been canceled last minute, and I didn't bother texting. Figured I'd surprise them with takeout. The lights were low, the TV was on, and I heard laughter. Not the kind from a movie. Real, breathy laughter. When I walked into the living room, they were sitting on the opposite ends of the couch. Too quickly, like they'd moved apart just before I came in. Emily smiled, but her voice was slightly higher than normal. "You're home early," Nathan raised his glass and smirked. "You dodged that late meeting, huh?" I mumbled something and went straight to the kitchen, takeout bag still in hand. My heart was pounding for no reason I could name. No proof, no confrontation, just something in the air, thick, wrong. That night, Emily curled into bed next to me like nothing happened, kissed my shoulder, said, "I missed you today." I stared at the ceiling for a long time before I could close my eyes. I didn't sleep well after that. The next few weeks were full of small moments that didn't add up. Nathan started staying out late. Emily would go to bed early, then sneak downstairs for water or tea. Her phone started getting more notifications, none of which she opened in front of me. I wanted to believe I was being irrational, that I was insecure, that I was projecting old fears onto two people I loved. But love, I've learned, doesn't mean blindness. And sometimes the most painful truths are the ones hiding in plain sight. I didn't know it then, but I was standing at the edge of something that would burn down everything I thought I knew about my marriage, my family, and myself. And the match had already been lit. There's a kind of quiet that isn't peaceful. It's the kind that crawls under your skin and makes every silence feel like a loaded gun. That's what it felt like after that night I came home early. I started noticing everything. The sound of footsteps when I wasn't supposed to be home, the too fast shutdown of a laptop screen, the way Emily's eyes would flick to Nathan a little too quickly when I said something. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband snooping through drawers and checking phone records. But I couldn't breathe around them anymore, not without wondering if I was the only one who didn't know the joke. So I started paying attention. I bought a small audio recorder online, something cheap but functional, the kind people use for lectures. I hid it under the couch cushions in the living room. I told myself I just needed to rule it out, that I was being obsessive and I'd find nothing. I needed to feel stupid so I could move on. That's not what happened. The first few recordings were nothing. Normal conversation, jokes, Nathan complaining about wedding clients, Emily laughing, just normal. But on the fourth night, I hit play and immediately felt something clench in my chest. Emily, he's going to be late again. You've got time. Nathan, we always do. You sure he's that clueless? Emily, Dan, trust me, that's the problem. I paused the playback. I sat there on the edge of the bed with that recorder in my hand, like it was a live grenade. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just stared at the wall for a long time. I had my answer. I had confirmation, but it didn't feel like relief. It felt like death, slow, silent, and humiliating. But the worst wasn't the betrayal. It was that they were comfortable with it, joking about it, confident I'd never figure it out, as if I wasn't even a real person in their story, just a prop in the background. And still, I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I set up a second recorder, this time in the bedroom. I knew the layout of the vents meant voices would carry. I just wanted to know how far it went. That was when everything collapsed. 2 nights later, I got home from work, locked myself in the study, and pressed play. Nathan, I keep thinking about Seattle. That first night feels like a lifetime ago. Emily, you were such an ass back then. Nathan, still am. Laughter. Emily, you left. You didn't want to commit. What was I supposed to do? Nathan, and you chose Dan. Of all people. Emily, he was safe. Nathan, you know I never stopped thinking about you, right? Emily, I know. I stopped the recording. I couldn't move. My hands went cold. My ears were ringing. They'd been together before. Not just now, not just physically. They had history, a shared past, a relationship. I sat there for a long time, replaying every moment in my head. That party in Seattle, the first time the three of us met. The way Nathan joked about both of us staring at her. How he suddenly stopped flirting when I started talking to her. How I thought I had made the move first. How Emily never once mentioned dating Nathan. She lied. They both did. Our entire foundation, every memory, every conversation, every I choose you, was soaked in omission. She didn't just cheat on me physically. She never really left him emotionally. I was just the one who stuck around. The stable one, the safe bet. The man who didn't leave? I thought the affair was the betrayal. But the truth, the kind you only find in dark corners when no one's watching, is that I had been living someone else's leftover life. I wasn't Plan A. I was the plan that worked because Plan A bailed. I felt like a ghost in my own marriage. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in my car for hours, parked on some quiet street, trying to remember which parts of my life were real. I kept asking myself one question. If you were never her first choice, were you ever really loved at all? The answer came to me around 4 a.m. It didn't matter, because what mattered now was what I was going to do next. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to throw things. I wasn't going to fall apart. I was going to watch them burn. And I was going to hand them the match. There's a fine line between pain and clarity. Once I had the recording, the one where Emily admitted she'd chosen me not out of love, but convenience, because Nathan wasn't ready, I stopped asking why. I stopped needing more answers. What I needed now was for them to say it out loud when they thought no one else was listening. I wanted truth, not from confrontation, but from comfort. I wanted her to speak as she would to him, freely, unguarded. To get that, I had to become him, just for one night. Nathan had agreed to meet up for drinks. I invited him to a downtown bar we used to frequent years ago, under the guise of needing brother time. He accepted easily, no suspicion. Why would he? To him, I was still the idiot in the dark. Over the course of an hour, I kept conversation casual. I let him talk about photography gigs, life in San Diego, how tense things felt around the house lately. I smiled, laughed in the right places, made him feel safe. I'd already slipped the pill into his second drink. A mild sedative, nothing dangerous, but enough to leave him out cold for a few hours. I knew his tolerance. I knew the timing. I knew I had a window. By the time we left the bar, he was slurring words and leaning on my shoulder like a drunk college kid. I helped him into his Airbnb, dropped him on the couch, took his hoodie, phone, and watch, and made sure he'd be out long enough for what I needed to do. Then I went home, our home. I pulled the hood over my head, changed my posture just slightly, and entered through the back door, the way Nathan always did. Emily was in the living room, curled up with a blanket, scrolling through her phone. She looked up. "You're back quick." I gave a small nod, kept my voice low. Wasn't feeling the crowd. She didn't question it. She patted the couch beside her. "Come sit." Dan said he was heading to the co-working space, probably gone for hours. I sat, not too close. Nathan wouldn't have, not right away. She glanced over at me. "You good?" I shrugged. "Things have been weird lately," she said. "I feel like I can't talk to anyone in this house." I said nothing, just turned my head slowly toward her, like I was listening, the way Nathan would. She sighed. "You always understood me better than he did." Another pause, then softer. "You still do." I didn't speak, just waited. She leaned her head back on the couch. "You know what's funny," she said. "Even now, I still feel more connected to you than I ever did to him." There it was, no nostalgia, no melodrama, just truth. Not about Seattle, not about that one night. About now, about what she still felt, what she still chose, even while married to me. She turned her head toward me and whispered, "Sometimes I wish we could just stop pretending." I reached into the pocket of the hoodie, pressed stop on the voice recorder I'd been running since I stepped into the house. Her brows furrowed. "What was that?" I didn't respond right away. I pulled the hood down slowly, took off Nathan's watch, turned to face her fully. She stared at me, confused, then horrified. "Dan?" I met her eyes. "You said you wanted the truth. So did I." She stood abruptly. "Wait, you're not—" "I was tonight." Her lips parted, then closed again. She was scrambling for words. There were none. I placed the recorder on the coffee table. Calm, controlled, my voice steady. "Everything I needed to hear, straight from you." "Dan, please." I stood up. "Don't. Not tonight." And I walked to our bedroom. My bedroom. Hers too, for now, but not for long. I closed the door behind me and sat on the edge of the bed, breathing in the silence. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like letting go. I didn't sleep that night. I lay awake in the dark, not thinking, just listening. Listening to the stillness of the house, The soft hum of the refrigerator downstairs. The faint creak of the floor when Emily finally moved. She didn't knock, didn't speak. Maybe she didn't know what to say. Good, because I didn't want apologies. I wanted her to sit with it. The words she spoke when she thought she was with him. The things she confessed freely, carelessly, because she didn't think I was listening. But I had been. And now she had to live with that. By morning, I was already showered, dressed, and waiting by the window when Nathan's Uber pulled into the driveway. He stumbled out of the car, clearly still groggy, hair messy, face twisted in panic. He had that look, the one he always wore when he knew he'd fucked up but was hoping, somehow, he could charm his way out of it. Not this time. He burst through the front door like it was on fire. "Dan," he said, breathless. "What the hell? Where is—" I cut him off with a look. He froze. Emily appeared at the top of the stairs, still in the clothes from last night. She looked at him, then at me, then back at him. Silence. "I know," I said finally. My voice was calm, too calm. Everything. Nathan opened his mouth, but I held up a hand. "No excuses, no spin. You made your choices. Now live with them." He looked at Emily like she might jump in. She didn't. Her face was pale, her eyes swollen. I think for the first time, she realized Nathan wasn't going to save her. I picked up my phone and stepped into the kitchen. I dialed my parents. My mom answered on the second ring. "Morning, sweetheart." "Hey," I said. "I need to tell you something, and I need you to listen without interrupting." She did. I told her everything, not just the affair, but the history. The fact that Emily and Nathan had been together before me and never told me. That they'd rekindled it under my roof. That I had proof. I heard the tremor in her voice when she finally spoke. "Please send it to us," she said. "We deserve to know the truth." I did. I forwarded the files, the recordings, the photos. I wrote no explanation, just sent it as it was, raw and final. Later that day, she called back in tears. "Your father won't speak to Nathan," she said. "I'm so sorry," she said. I didn't cry. That afternoon, I handed Emily the divorce papers. I'd already spoken to a lawyer. Oregon makes it easy if both parties agree. I told her she could keep the house. I didn't want it. Not after what it had become. She looked at the papers like they were on fire. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she whispered. I nodded. "But you let it." Her hand trembled as she signed. She didn't look up. Didn't ask me to stay. Nathan was gone by then. I didn't know where, didn't care. The only other call I made was to her parents. They were devastated. Her father asked me not to make it public. Said he'd talk to her. I told him there was nothing to make public. No revenge coming. No online shaming. Just the truth. Exactly where it needed to be. 2 days later, I packed my car, took only what mattered, left everything else. Before I closed the trunk, I stood on the sidewalk and looked at the house one last time. The same front porch we stood on after our wedding. The windows we strung lights through every Christmas. The door Nathan had walked through like it was his own. I didn't feel anger, just emptiness. I got in and drove away. I moved to Boston 3 weeks later. Quiet apartment, new job, new grocery store where no one knew my face or my story. I slept through the night for the first time in months. Then, one evening, an email came. No subject. "I'm late. I think it's yours." Attached, a blurry photo of a pregnancy test. I didn't respond. She may carry something that came from me, but she lost the right to ask anything from me the moment she chose him. Again. Some choices don't get second chances. Some truths don't deserve a reply.